He held a knife to his own alibi, and now he's asking a child to hold it steady for him. A little girl who just buried her mother is being handed the one job no 10-year-old should ever have to do: lie to protect the man responsible for her mother being dead in the first place. If you have been anywhere near Coronation Street social media this week, you already know the name causing all the noise. Richie Parkinson. Killer, liar, and now, according to the latest scenes airing on ITV1, a father willing to drag his own daughter into his cover story to save his own skin. Stick around, because we are unpacking exactly what is happening, why fans are absolutely furious, and where this devastating storyline is heading next. Let's start with why this story has exploded the way it has. For weeks now, Coronation Street has been building toward what executive producer Kate Brooks openly teased as a massive story for two of the street's most beloved characters, Tim and Sally Metcalf. Fans expected drama. What they got was a murder, a cover-up, and now the uncomfortable spectacle of a killer trying to manipulate his own child into becoming an accessory to his crime. It is the kind of storyline that soap fans live for and dread in equal measure, because it takes ordinary, likable characters and drops them into an impossible moral nightmare. And right now, nobody on the cobbles is more trapped in that nightmare than Tim, Sally, and a young girl named Lucy, who never asked for any of this. So who exactly is Richie Parkinson, and how did he end up at the center of one of Coronation Street's darkest storylines in years? For those who have not been following closely, Richie is introduced as Tim Metcalf's cousin, a face from Tim's past that he had not seen in years. Tim bumps into him quite by chance while out on a job, and the pair reconnect quickly, falling back into an easy, laddish friendship. Tim brings Richie into his world, introduces him to his mates, and even invites him over for a night in with the family. It all seems warm and harmless, the kind of reunion soap fans enjoy watching unfold slowly. But then, when the two men are finally alone, Richie starts to open up about trouble at home, hinting that his marriage to his wife, Rachel, is falling apart. Tim, ever the soft touch, offers his cousin a place to stay at number 4 when things boil over. It is a decision that will haunt the Metcalf household for months to come. The actor bringing Richie to life is Nathan Sussex, a Welsh performer who is no stranger to playing dangerous men on British television. Soap fans will likely recognize him from his stint on Hollyoaks, where he played the abusive football coach Buster Smith, a role so memorably vile that it won him the title of Villain of the Year back in 2019. Sussex has also built up an impressive list of credits beyond Soapland, including appearances in Casualty, Emmerdale, the acclaimed drama It's a Sin, and the Welsh-language Project Men Up. Speaking about stepping onto the famous Coronation Street cobbles for the first time, Sussex admitted the experience left him genuinely emotional, describing the show as a national institution that has shaped viewers' lives for generations. Given the ferocity of the storyline he has now been handed, it is easy to see why walking into that legacy felt like such a weighty moment for him. Now let's get into what actually happened, because the fall from just a family reunion to murder investigation came fast. After Richie moves into the Metcalf household following a blow-up with Rachel, tension simmers under the surface for a while. Then Rachel throws him out for good, and he turns up on Tim and Sally's doorstep again, hold all in hand. Sally, understandably wary of a stranger effectively moving into her home, eventually insists he needs to find somewhere else to stay. Richie claims he is heading to a friend's place in Liverpool, and Tim, still hopeful his cousin's marriage can be saved, urges him to go home and fight for Rachel instead. That is when the story takes its darkest turn. Tim discovers that Richie left his wallet behind under the sofa and, being the decent man he is, decides to drive over to Richie's house to return it in person. What he finds when Richie opens the door is the stuff of soap opera nightmares. Richie is standing there with blood visibly staining his shirt, behaving erratically and clearly rattled. Alarmed, Tim pushes past him into the house and discovers Rachel's body inside. In a state of horror, he calls the police immediately. From there, things move quickly. Detective Lisa Connorswain confirms to the shaken Metcalf family that Richie has been arrested on suspicion of murdering his own wife. Richie, for his part, does not deny killing Rachel outright, but insists he acted purely in self-defense, framing himself as a victim of circumstance rather than a killer who snapped. And then there is Lucy. Rachel and Richie's young daughter is left utterly shattered by the loss of her mother and the arrest of her father in one devastating swoop. With no stable home to go to, she is placed into the care system, but her foster placement quickly collapses, leaving social worker Ruth searching for somewhere else for the grieving child to land. It is Tim, without even discussing it properly with Sally first, who makes the decision to take Lucy in. It is a classic Tim Metcalf move, all heart and very little forward planning, and it lands Sally with a traumatized child in her home that she never agreed to look after. What follows is heartbreaking to watch. Lucy runs away to a bus stop in sheer distress. She suffers a terrifying nightmare that leaves the household shaken. She lashes out physically after Lily Platt cruelly taunts her, grabbing Lily's arm in a moment of raw, uncontrolled anger, and it takes Jodie Ramsey stepping in to stop the situation from spiraling further. Every scene paints the picture of a child who has been failed by every adult who is supposed to protect her, most devastatingly by her own father. Which brings us to the twist that has sent fans into a genuine frenzy this week. While behind bars, Richie sends Tim a visiting order, and when Tim arrives at the prison, Richie makes his true intentions painfully clear. He wants Tim to corroborate his claim of self-defense, insisting it is his only realistic hope of avoiding a lengthy prison sentence. To his credit, Tim refuses outright to lie for him, which sends Richie into a furious rage. In a chilling moment, Richie turns the guilt back onto Tim, snapping that if Tim had not encouraged him to go home and try to fix his marriage, none of this would have happened at all. It is a manipulative, self-serving accusation from a man who has already shown he will say almost anything to avoid accountability. But Richie does not stop at trying to pressure Tim. Upcoming scenes confirm that he goes one disturbing step further, secretly phoning his own daughter Lucy and instructing her to stick to their story. The implication is unmistakable. Richie is coaching a grieving child into helping cover up how her mother really died, weaponizing her loyalty and confusion for his own defense. The fallout from that secret call ripples through the entire Metcalf household. Lucy, already fragile and volatile, becomes even more unpredictable and defensive. When Sally, trying to help the girl process her grief, books her into a counseling session, Lucy reluctantly agrees to attend, only to use the appointment as an outlet for pent-up rage, lashing out verbally at both Sally and Tim rather than opening up about her mother. Back at home, tensions boil over further when Lucy hurls a bowl of popcorn across the room at Joni and brands the entire household a bunch of liars, a jarringly ironic accusation given what her own father has just asked her to do. Meanwhile, the strain between Tim and Sally deepens too, as Tim, in a moment of misplaced blame, accuses Sally of somehow contributing to Rachel's death by insisting Richie leave their home sooner rather than later. It is a household unraveling in real time, with every character reacting to grief, guilt, and manipulation in ways that feel painfully human. Unsurprisingly, Coronation Street's fanbase has not stayed quiet about any of this. Across social media and dedicated soap forums, viewers have been venting their frustration and heartbreak over Lucy's treatment, with many pointing out just how uncomfortable it is to watch a child be used as a pawn in her father's legal defense. There is also a growing wave of sympathy for actress and newcomer performances portraying Lucy, with fans praising the young performer for capturing such raw, believable trauma in scenes that could easily have felt overwrought in less capable hands. On the flip side, Nathan Sussex's portrayal of Richie has drawn plenty of praise too, precisely because viewers find him so easy to despise. Soap fans often measure a villain's success by how much they want to reach through the screen and throttle them, and by that metric, Richie is doing exactly what he was brought onto the show to do. Entertainment outlets covering the storyline have also zeroed in on the show's decision to keep Richie's fate deliberately vague, even from Sussex himself, with the actor admitting producers have only revealed the story arc to him in stages, keeping both him and the audience guessing about what comes next. So, what could all of this mean for the future of Weatherfield's most talked-about new arrival? There has already been strong hinting from both Sussex and Coronation Street insiders that this storyline is being built toward a major payoff around the show's Christmas episodes, a slot traditionally reserved for the soap's biggest, most explosive moments. Sussex himself has spoken about the dream of appearing in a Christmas Day episode, joking that he might be on viewers' screens while they are tucking into their favorite festive chocolates. If that timeline holds, we can expect the pressure on Lucy, Tim, and Sally to escalate significantly over the coming weeks, likely building towards some kind of court appearance or dramatic reveal that could expose Richie's manipulation of his own daughter for what it truly is. There is also the pressing question of whether Lucy will eventually crack under the weight of what her father is asking of her. Children in these storylines rarely stay silent forever, and given how volatile and overwhelmed Lucy already appears, it feels almost inevitable that either Sally, Tim, or the authorities investigating Rachel's death will eventually uncover that Richie has been coaching her. Fans are already speculating about exactly how that confession might unfold, with some predicting Lucy will break down and admit everything to Sally in a moment of desperation, while others believe it will take a slip-up during a formal police interview to blow the whole cover story apart. There is also lingering suspicion over whether self-defense is even remotely true, or whether Richie's claim is simply another manipulation designed to minimize a far more calculated and violent crime. Given how thoroughly Coronation Street has painted Richie as someone willing to exploit everyone around him, including his own grieving child, most fans are not inclined to give him the benefit of the doubt. For Tim and Sally, this storyline is shaping up to be one of the toughest tests of their marriage in years. Tim's guilt over his role in bringing Richie back into their lives, combined with his instinct to protect a vulnerable child regardless of the consequences, is putting real strain on his relationship with Sally, who is left dealing with the practical and emotional fallout of a decision she was never properly consulted on. Whether their marriage survives this ordeal intact, or whether Richie's chaos ends up driving a permanent wedge between them, remains to be seen, but it is clear the show intends to use this story to test the strength of one of its most enduring couples. To bring it all together, Coronation Street has delivered one of its most emotionally charged storylines in recent memory with the arrival of Richie Parkinson. What began as a warm, unexpected family reunion has spiraled into a murder investigation, a grieving orphan child, a fractured marriage, and now a manipulative father coaching his own daughter to lie in order to protect himself from the consequences of killing her mother. With Nathan Sussex delivering a genuinely unsettling performance and hints of a major Christmas storyline payoff on the horizon, this is one plot thread that is only going to get more intense from here. Whether Lucy ultimately breaks her silence, whether Richie's self-defense claim holds up under scrutiny, and whether Tim and Sally's marriage can withstand the pressure are all questions Coronation Street fans will be desperate to see answered in the weeks ahead. That is everything we know so far about Richie Parkinson's dark secret and the devastating position he has put his own daughter in on Coronation Street. What do you think is really going to happen to Lucy, and do you believe Richie's claim of self-defense for even a second? Let us know your theories down in the comments below. We genuinely love reading them. If you enjoyed this breakdown, do not forget to smash that like button, and if you want to stay ahead of every twist coming out of Weatherfield, make sure you are subscribed with notifications turned on so you never miss an update. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.